Hey, Cashflow Ninjas, real quick before we jump into today's episode, I've been asked by many people recently, what has been the one thing that has made all the difference on my journey as a business owner and investor? I started businesses and I've invested in businesses. I've invested in single family real estate, multifamily real estate. I still have a sizable portfolio of multifamily real estate, historic resorts, mobile home parks, oil and gas, life settlements, gold and silver, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I could go on. But the one thing that has changed the financial trajectory for myself and my family has been infinite banking. Yes, you heard that correctly. That is the number one thing I've done over the past 2 decades that have made the single biggest difference. And it's not even close. Setting up and building out a family banking system using infinite banking has enabled me to create my own financial system. This year, it has allowed me to focus and not pay attention to all the chaos in the global economy and global financial markets. I really don't pay attention to all the noise about tariffs, trade wars, markets violently going down and then going back up, or interest rates skyrocketing and wrecking real estate deals and other alternative investment deals. Do not be beholden to other systems. Create your own system. If you're interested in working with me and my team at Producers Wealth to set up your own banking system or your own business and family banking system, then go to getwealthyforsure.com. That's getwealthyforsure.com. When you go to getwealthyforsure.com, you can request a free copy of my best-selling book, Get Wealthy for Sure. Only pay for shipping. You can also watch all of our presentations and schedule a call to explore infinite banking options with me and my team. You don't have to be powerless amidst the chaos. You too can have a financial strategy that provides certainty, predictability, and clarity. You and your family can also get wealthy for sure. Go to getwealthyforsure.com to start your journey today. The world is going through changes. Changes happening at a speed that we have never seen before. This is leading to disruption, chaos, panic, fear, hysteria, and a turbulent economy and marketplace. How do you protect your wealth in a turbulent world? How do you invest for cash flow in alternative assets to escape the rat race in times of uncertainty? How do you decentralize yourself, your family, your community, your business, and your investments to become sovereign and escape the matrix? If you are looking for strategies, tactics, and techniques to escape the rat race and matrix, you are in the right place. My name is MC Laubscher, and this is Cashflow Ninja. This is Cashflow Ninja. I'm MC Laubscher. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode and spending your most valuable resource, your time, once again with me. Everything Cashflow Ninja is at cashflowninja.com. That's cashflowninja.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the #1 newsletter in the alternative wealth strategy and alternative asset investing space, the Wealth Dojo. You can subscribe to the Wealth Dojo by going to cashflowninja.com/subscribe. I've got a fantastic show for you today. I'm joined by Dr. Patty Ann Tublin. She is an expert in relationships and emotional intelligence and does a lot of leadership training. Specifically for business owners and investors. She will help you optimize your performance as a business owner and as an investor. We're going to have a great conversation about the psychology of money and our relationship with money. Dr. Patty Ann, it's great to see you.
So great to see you, MC. I'm really delighted to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this. I think My listeners and viewers are in for a real treat. It was a pleasure connecting with you at an event down in Sarasota and spending some time with you. I know I had some travel issues. I had a little episode of trains, planes, and automobiles all in one, but finally got there and was great to connect. For my listeners and my viewers that's not familiar with you and what you do, could you please share a little bit about your background and journey?
Oh, sure. So basically, and it was great to meet you. And travel snafus are a hazard of the profession, right? So it
That's
is what
right.
it is. It is what it
Yep.
is. So basically, I have two masters and a doctorate in clinical psychology. But to make a long story short, I'm a human behavior and performance expert who is a relationship expert that specializes in teaching entrepreneurs of all different industries emotional intelligence and communication skills that all drive the bottom line. So I've written two best-selling books that Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank fame wrote testimonials for, and I've keynoted around the world in Saudi Arabia, Dubai, London, all those kind of places. And really what my work is, I really believe that all success is predicated upon the ability to create, nurture, and sustain healthy relationships. And for our conversation here today, we're really going to focus on the most important relationship we have, which is our relationship with ourself. And all of my work is predicated upon the relationship skills, what we call the soft skills that drive the bottom line. And it's all based on neuroscience. It's not foo-foo. So we bring the brain into understanding leadership development skills and personal development skills. In a nutshell, that's what I do.
And this is the hardest part, right? Everybody talk the hard skills, that's easy. The soft skills is actually the hardest part for any business owner and any entrepreneur and any investor to master, right?
Exactly, because the bottom line is for most entrepreneurs and corporate people too, the hardest thing is helping them get out of their own way because we
Right.
constantly shoot ourselves in the foot for unconsciously, if you will.
Let's talk about that because and we'll bring in the obviously the business owner kind of investor, the money element to this too, the relationship with ourselves. What are some of the ways that you see people shoot themselves in the foot, and what are some of the different type of people that you see out there too, and the different types of relationship they have with themselves and with their business and money?
Okay, so it's a great question, and I would need like 15 hours to really answer it. So let me date myself and give you the Reader's Digest version. Anybody under 40, which might be UMC, I'm not sure, Google it after the podcast, not now, the Reader's Digest version. But basically, we have everything that we do is about our relationship with ourselves. It stems from us. The reason why there's so much discontent, I would say, in the world, and why businesses don't either optimize or don't work at all is because we have very little self-awareness today. As you said, people like in your industry, let's talk about finance, right? People are taught economics and like the Fibonacci curve or loop or like whatever, right? But nobody talks about our relationship to money and how that's rooted in the emotion that we attach to money. Because really, when you think about it, what's money? All it is it's a commodity, like any other commodity. And, when I talk to the Wall Street crowd, because they're all geniuses, no offense if anybody's a Wall Street crowd here, when people say, no, we don't make investment decisions based on emotions, I will say, well, then tell me why really, really, really smart guys make some really dumb financial decisions. It's because the decision is not rooted in analytics. It's rooted in the emotion. And that's where, when I speak to anybody in the financial field, I want them to be aware of their relationship to money, because only then can they understand their client's relationship to money. Make sense?
And this is where emotions come in too, that drives the behavior. To your point, you use that the Wall Street example of guys making decisions in Wall Street, guys and gals, and they're like, well, we just based on the analytics make decisions. but there's a different element. There could be a little bit of greed in there. There
Mhm.
could be a little bit like this is it. This is the, the excitement. I mean, emotions drive that decision making, right?
Absolutely. So let me be so I created five avatars, if you will, five money personalities to
Yeah.
really operationalize the concept, right? Otherwise, it just sounds like really great in theory, but if you can't use it, who cares? Right? And I'm a New Yorker, like tell it as it is and let me learn something so I can use it. Otherwise, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yep.
Let me just tell this story before I can talk about the money personality part. If you think about what an emotion is, and I am giving the Reader's Digest version, MC, if you look at the word emotion, it's spelled Emotion, right?
Yep.
Actually, let me just write it down for you because I'm so sophisticated. Emotion, right? So when I ask people what's an emotion, what they will tell me is, well, what would you say? If I asked you what an emotion is, what would you say?
I think it's maybe your state and how you feel at that particular moment and your energy levels that drives it based on the state and a feeling of something that might excite you or depress you or anger you.
Okay, so this is why MC gets the big bucks because most people will answer that question with they'll share an emotion with me, happy, joy, sad. What an emotion is, when you look at the E in the word emotion, that stands for energy. So an emotion is energy in motion. That's why our energy nothing changes in our life until we change our energy. And this is all based on neuroscience and your nervous system, the messages that you get from your brain to the outside world. Anyway, so the emotion that you have towards money determines how you put that money into motion, right? Or
Right.
into play. Does that make sense?
Yes. It,
Okay, so that was really a great answer, MC. I am like so impressed. Like nobody gets that answer right. And it's all based on physics. And when people say, well, that's not true, I will tell them everybody's an adult on this podcast, right?
yep.
Okay. So if you go out to dinner and there's with a partner, a significant other, or even a friend, and there's a couple in the table next to you, and you cannot hear anything, like you can't hear their conversation, but if they're having an argument, if they're on a first date, if the relationship is rocky, and if they're going to go home and have sex. Why?
Yeah.
Because of the energy that the relationship is putting out. So we pick up on that. So it determines how we interpret what's going on. The same is true for how we will invest or not invest in our money. So I'll just go into the personalities now. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Okay. So the first one I call the compulsive saver. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about somebody that's a miser and that hoards money. And the best example of that is Ebenezer Scrooge in the classic story, The Christmas Carol, right? So when you think about Ebenezer Scrooge, somebody that hoards money, like the thought of spending money, gives him an anxiety attack, right? Why? Because for someone that's a hoarder, money represents stability and security. So the thought of spending it increases his insecurity and he feels unstable. So what's his childhood? And do you want to say anything? I see you shaking
No,
your head.
that I could see it, and that there's a lot of people listening to this that might fall into that category, and even myself, with that s- immigrant slant, I could see myself right there too, because it like you said when you said it provides security and stability, I'm like, yeah, That for me, it does. As an
Right.
immigrant, every time when I put money away and save it, I do feel better because, it's that whole thing, even though I've been here for 25 years and have some relative success, you always think of like, well, there's nothing to fall back on, right? For me,
Exactly. And of
it's
course, it's
based
on a
on me.
continuum, right?
Yeah.
It's on a continuum.
Yeah.
Like what you said is, right, it makes you feel secure and safe. But the extreme is the person that he literally epitomizes the guy that has the money in the mattress. Like literally, right? So what happened was someone like this, the story goes that his mother died or abandoned the father. We're not really sure. The dad put him in like a boarding school where he was very much alone. He didn't have friends. He was made fun of. And over time, he realized he was good in business. He was able to make money. So for him, all he could count on, pun intended, was his money, right? So relationships were fleeting, money was secure.
Yep.
And he sacrificed the relationships and having a real full life at the expense of just accumulating wealth. When you talk to anybody that has been uber successful, like off the charts successful, most of them will tell you what they regret sacrificing is the rest of their life. Usually it's time with their family and their relationships, right? So everything's a give and a take.
Yep.
But so that's the first personality, the compulsive saver. Now you have two kids, right?
Yep.
I have four. If you have children or if you have siblings or if you have friends, think about the different people you know, right? You know who's the compulsive saver, right? It's the guy, if everybody's going out, I know it's out of fashion, but what the heck? If everybody's going out to the bar to have a drink, that's the guy. No, I'll just have water. Well, you don't want to drink? It's okay. I'll have something when I get home, or I had something before I came. They don't want to spend the money, right?
Right.
And it really gets in the way of them enjoying life. Like the extreme, can become pathological, right? So
Yep.
if you have someone that you know that just cannot part with the dime, they could probably squeeze the buffalo off of the nickel. It's because they are a compulsive saver. But if you look at the hoarding, not as being cheap, but as a protection, it will help you understand them more and perhaps be able to meet them where they are so you can help their money to make wiser investments,
Yep.
right? So let's think about it. So is this person risk adverse or a risk taker?
Risk adverse.
Like off the charts. Like
Yeah.
if you can't guarantee this guy like it could be 100% return at the risk of one, you're not getting his money, which means this person is really hard to invest their money unless it's like, what's the boring tradition, like money market or something?
Yes. Money
Yeah.
market, CDs. Yep.
Yes. Oh my God, CDs. I think of grandparents when I hear the word CDs.
It's kind of comical. Money market, CDs, bonds, all the
Yeah.
stuff that used
Right.
to
Right.
do
Right.
well back in the
Right. Because
day.
you don't want to lose it. You don't want to
Yeah.
lose it. Right. It's not about gaining, it's about not losing.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So that's the first personality. The second personality is the diametrically opposed to the compulsive saver, and that's the compulsive spender. If you have a teenager, chances are they're the compulsive spender. And I labeled that person the shopaholic Sally. So this is the person, well, we'll just call this a woman, but men too, that comes waltzing into the room with the latest and greatest trend, accessory, fashions, like she's always on top of things. Okay. So this person, the compulsive spender, and the way I set her up, the emotion that she attaches to money is excitement, gratification, like instant gratification, and also there's a little bit of avoidance here, but that gets a little bit complicated. So this is the person that personifies the concept of retail therapy. If she's happy, she goes shopping. If she's upset, she goes shopping. So she buys stuff. This is the neuroscience behind here. She buys stuff, and immediately upon that purchase, either online or in the store or with the credit card, she gets a dopamine hit.
Yep.
And but the dopamine hit is fleeting. and it makes her feel good. But in a very short amount of time, that dopamine level goes down. And now she needs another hit again. So you can see the addiction here, right? You can see the pathology. So she has to go shopping again. So, what's the childhood influence? This is a person that grew up in a home, chances are, where when things didn't go well in their life, either they didn't make the rugby team, or their boyfriend broke up with them, or they didn't get a good grade. Something happened. Their parents or whoever took care of them did not know how to have a communication with them, how to communicate with them so that they could process the emotion of feeling sad, angry, upset, disappointed, whatever it is. What they would say is, "Oh, let's go to the store, I'll buy you something." So
Right.
they associate stuff with feeling better. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yep. Absolutely.
Right? And you can see how there could also be an addiction here, right? This is where addictions come in. The other type of home you could have grown up in is a home where the parents are like emotionally distant. What's that term they've been calling it? And you don't have to have money, but it's easier if you do have money. What is it? Um, affluenza, influenza kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the parents don't really give you their time, their attention, nor any emotional support. And then they feel guilty. So they go out and they buy you stuff as a replacement for them.
Yep.
So stuff, and I do call it stuff, takes on an emotional security that's very fleeting, where it replaces love and emotion, right? So as soon as you don't feel good, boom, let me get something, and then I'll feel better. And you will, but only for a short amount of time. So you go into this person's closet, they have all the shoes and they have all the dresses with the tag still on them, because it's not about the purchase. It's about the process of getting the purchase, which is the dopamine hit.
Yep. And dopamine hits, everybody knows what that is because of social media, because that's another thing,
Oh my God.
the likes and all that. So that, but this is in this context, money, buying stuff gets you that same hit as I guess it's a thing where people really get excited the more likes they get. They get the same dopamine hit.
Right. And with social media, the makers of the different programs, they have the algorithm down to a science.
Yep.
Right? So if you like shoes, they don't just show you any shoes. They show you the shoe brand that they know you like because you've looked at it before, even if you haven't purchased it. It's sort of kind of scary. I guess it's great for a marketer, but I think it's a little scary.
They also, back to the spending and buying, because we talked about going to stores, the
Hmm.
same kind of psychology is set up with like Amazon, where
Hmm.
it's it's a button now. It's in a cart and it's a checkout and I mean, it's at your fingertips, literally,
Yeah.
which gets you the same emotion as going into the store and buying
And
stuff.
it's not only that, when you make something on Amazon, a purchase, because I just did, um, I bought a pair of shoes. It also says people that bought this also bought. And now all of a sudden you need an accessory to go with the shoes that you weren't even thinking about, right? So it's
Yeah.
almost the impulsive purchase that the grocery stores know to give you at the checkout with the gum and the mints or whatever it is. Right.
Yep.
It's all psychology, and people, everything's psychology, but I'm a little bit like a hammer. To me, everything is a nail. To me, everything is psychology.
Oh,
Okay.
it's absolutely.
Okay. So the third personality is the compulsive moneymaker. And again, this is on a spectrum, on a continuum. So the best person that epitomizes this personality is the character that Leonardo DiCaprio played on The Wolf of Wall Street, which is Jordan Belfort, right? Or
Yep.
Belfort. And I've seen him on the news lately too, which I'm like, what's that about?
Yeah.
Anyway, the emotion for the compulsive moneymaker is that money doesn't represent wealth. It represents self-esteem. So his net worth equals his self-worth. So the emotion is status and validation. So the difference between the compulsive money saver and the compulsive money maker is the compulsive money maker has no problem spending his money. He will spend it as fast as he makes it because he knows he'll make more. And in fact, he has to spend it because making the money is not so much about him accumulating the money. It's about you knowing he's successful and makes the money, right? So let me give you an example. So let's say, MC, you decide to take your wife out with her friends to celebrate her birthday or a promotion, right? And you told everybody you're going to take them out. It's on you. It's a treat. The bill comes, the compulsive money maker makes it a scene to take the bill from the waiter, to buy the celebration dinner. And on the surface, that's great. But what he's just done is he's taken the spotlight off of your wife and put it on him.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a pattern. It's a pattern because if he really wanted to be generous, what you do in that situation is when you first come into the restaurant, you go to the waiter, which I have done, and you quietly say, here's my credit card. Would you please put the bill on my
Yep.
credit card? And now it's taken care of in a much quieter way. But the compulsive money maker would never do that because you have to know how much money he makes or how much money he wants you to think he makes. And I guess the modern day example is Bernie Madoff,
Yep.
right? I mean, it is insane. And you'll do things that are illegal, doesn't matter. You want to make the money.
Yep.
So risk adverse or risk taker?
Oh, risk taker. For sure.
Absolutely. This guy, he will bet the farm. And if he loses it, it's okay. He'll make it back. It's really, it's incredible. It's incredible. Okay. So the fourth personality I've labeled laissez-faire Laura. This is probably the smallest percentage of the population, but it does exist. These are the people that money's not their thing. I don't worry about it. Don't worry, it will work out. To all your listeners, trying to get laissez-faire Laura to create a budget, you have a snowball's chance in hell greater than getting this person to create a budget, let alone follow a budget. And this person thinks money shouldn't be an issue, peace, love, and unicorns. And on the one hand, that's great because they'll never die of a stroke or a heart attack worrying about money. And it works for them until it doesn't, right? So if they're married to a wealthy person and they get divorced, all of a sudden their income drops. Or if somebody unexpectedly gets some type of an illness and now you have medical expenses that you never anticipated and things can go awry, or there's a sudden job loss.
Yeah.
So it works until it doesn't. And the emotion attached to this person is they're attached from reality to money, or they're overconfident, or they're avoided, and it works until it doesn't.
Right.
People during the Depression, not that they will be laissez-faire Laura, but they might have spent because it doesn't matter. A rising tide lifts all boats until it doesn't, until the tide pulls out, right? That's probably not the best example, but you know what I mean.
No,
Risk adverse or risk taker?
I would say that this one's kind of like could be a little bit of both. Yeah, this is an interesting one. If I have to go the other way, I mean, laissez-faire, risk taker, I would lean towards that.
No, you're right. It could be either one. It
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah.
I mean, probably risk taker, but
Yeah.
it could be risk adverse, right? They're just not in touch with reality. So the
Right.
thought of making more money or losing more money, okay.
Eh,
I mean, we do
yeah.
know people. When I remember when my daughter was a teenager, she hates when I use this example, but she would come to me in the store and say, Mom, can I have this blouse? And I
Yeah.
would say, well, how much is it? And she'd be like, oh, no. Like, well, how can I answer? So some people do go through life not aware of what things cost.
Yeah.
And maybe it works, but again, until it doesn't, right?
Right.
So you can see the different emotions that influence what people will do and not do with money and how that influences their investing or how you can help them invest. And then the last personality, I feel like I'm going so fast,
No, this is great.
is the compulsive worrier. and I call this person William the Worrier. Out of all the personalities, this is a character flaw on my part. This one drives me crazy because this is the person who is constantly worrying and fretting about money, regardless of their financial situation. They will drive you crazy because know how much money they have, how much money they make, how much money they save. They're always looking for the worst case scenario of how they will lose it or they won't have it. So the emotion that this person has attached to money is anxiety, fear, and catastrophizing. So this is someone that will literally lay awake at night thinking about all the ways they can lose their money. They can lose their job. The stock market can crash. Oh my God, we're going to have another pandemic, right? So they won't buy a new car because I know it's going to happen. As soon as I buy that car, I'm going to lose my job. They won't take a vacation. So they can't enjoy the fruits of their labor because they're always worrying that it won't be there. And the problem with anxiety, which is a different conversation, and worrying, is it's an emotion that is future oriented. You're worrying about something that will happen in the future, and you're allowing that to significantly cloud your present.
Yep.
So these people are really hard to be around because they're just the negative Nancy, big time. Usually these people grew up in a home. If you think about grandparents that grew up in the Depression, that
Yep.
would be them, right? Something really catastrophic happened. They did lose it all. Or someone that grew up in a home where their father or their mother or somebody lost their job overnight and they lost everything. Or they might have grown up in a home where there was somebody, this is a tragedy, somebody had a gambling problem and they literally lost their home overnight. So that's the William the Worrier. So risk adverse or risk taker?
Risk adverse.
You're not getting a dime from this guy. Yeah.
No, absolutely
This
not.
is the person to put it in a normal social context. This is the person, and this drives me crazy. All my character flaws. You go out to dinner and they're like, well, I had one drink and you had two drinks and you had the pasta and they had, I'm like, just split the bill. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. No, absolutely. These are great. I feel like anyone listening to this can put themselves into a specific character.
Character. It's an avatar. It's a caricature. It's an
Yeah,
avatar.
and
Yeah.
you might be a little bit of both, right?
We
There might.
mostly are. We
Yep.
mostly are. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the big thing to drive home here too is if you recognize and realize where you kind of fit in, there's things that you can do to manage your emotions and kind of, manage your state and your attachment to money or your relationship with money, right?
Yes. Well, and this does go to what we talked just a little bit about before we went on air. That's your emotional intelligence, right? And the first step towards everything, just like all roads lead to Rome, all emotional intelligence starts with self-awareness. The ancient Greeks were right, Socrates, right? Know thyself. So if you can understand, you look, we know who's this. The gross oversimplification would be to look at as, am I a spender or a saver, right?
Yep.
So start there and then put in the personalities to understand why you might be that way. And then that will give you the understanding of who you are that will then help you see yourself or the exact opposite of yourself, because we respond to people not as they are, but as we are, right?
Yeah.
So it might not, if we're a saver, we might be really confused by the spender, but we could see that as a saver, you can't take it with you when you go. So enjoy it, right? So that can help you be a little bit more empathic towards the spender, but then maybe knowing yourself, you can rein them in a little bit and help them be more responsible with their spending. That might be a good way to look at it.
Absolutely. Uh, Dr. Patty, and this has been fantastic. I can talk to you for hours.
I
You have
know. Oh,
a wealth
I
of
would love it.
knowledge, And I want to, where can listeners and viewers learn more? Look at all of your books, your podcast, incredible podcast, and all the other information that you put out there. What's the best
Sure.
place for them to follow
The
you?
best, the absolute best place for people to learn more about what I really do is to go on my LinkedIn profile. That's where I send everybody these days, which is Dr. Patty Ann Tublin. I do have a website, Dr. Patty Ann, with Patty with the Y. But I always feel like every time I update my website, it's like old. It just doesn't seem relevant. Like I look at it,
Yep.
it talks about business relationships and personal relationships. And there's so much more to what I do because when I'm coaching somebody in their business relationship, inevitably, wherever you go, there you are. So your personal relationship comes up, right? And
Yep.
then I'll work with business partners like a CEO or a COO or co-founders before that relationship goes south, because that's why most businesses fail with co-founders, or if you do a merger and acquisition, it's a culture
Yep.
war. And then I am on Instagram, Dr. Patty Ann. I'm on all the social media platforms. But if you really want to get a sense of what I do and see if I could maybe add some value to you, just go on my LinkedIn. And if it says pending, I'll get to it.
Thank you so much for coming on the show and providing so much value for all of my listeners. Just sharing your knowledge. It's been great to connect and great to see you again. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And thank you again for you, the listener and the viewer, for again spending your most valuable resource, your time with me today. Everything Cashflow Ninja is at cashflowninja.com, cashflowninja.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the #1 newsletter in the alternative wealth strategy and alternative asset investing space, the Wealth Dojo. You can subscribe to the Wealth Dojo by going to cashflowninja.com/subscribe. Until next time, live infinitely. This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. The information being presented and considered does not consider your particular financial objectives or situation, and it does not make personalized recommendations. This material is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax and legal advisor or other qualified professionals, and you should not use the information in place of a customized consultation with a licensed professional regarding your specific personal financial objectives, situation, and needs. We believe the information provided is reliable, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, timeliness, or completeness.